What's up, and welcome back to Interpreting the Stars, where today we're bringing it back to our bi-weekly Hunger Games rewatch marathon with The Hunger Games: Catching Fire. Now, I remember watching this in theater, coming out thinking, perfect. My initial score for the second Hunger Games film was a perfect 100%, but at the same time, this was before I had a rating model, and I just went with my gut instinct. Back then, times were much simpler, and while watching, a number between 1 and 100 would pop into the back of my mind, and that would be that. That would be my score. But these days, I score movies a little bit differently with a rating model that looks at a lot of different stuff. The real question is if my technical rating kept the score at 100%, or if I wasn't thinking clearly the first time that I saw it. In this review, I'll try my best to be a Hierophant, so let's get cracking. This review is brought to you by the word of the day, Hierophant. A person who explains, aka an expositor. The Hunger Games: Catching Fire continues the path of our heroes Katniss and Peeta as they find themselves enslaved by the Capitol's controlling political agenda. Forced to watch the tragic torturing and slaughter of the men and women of the individual districts, all desperate to start a revolution. When President Snow is incapable of trusting Katniss's motives and wanting to stop her from being a symbol of hope for the districts, he issues a Quarter Quell, a version of the Hunger Games that pulls existing champions back into the ring, which means Katniss and Peeta are forced back into the games after just winning the year before. Now, normally with my reviews, I typically make a quick summary of how I scored a ton of different categories, but I feel that I should at least touch more on them in this review because once you start breaking this movie down bit by bit, focusing on everything that makes it what it is, there's just so much to discuss. Let's summarize each category on its own. The first category that I review is the people category, which goes over the acting, characters, casting, individual importance, and everybody's chemistry with one another. And this is all a pretty big focus for in Catching Fire, because how else do you communicate to the audience that what's going on in this world is just so inescapably tragic than to plaster it on everybody's face? So Jennifer Lawrence's performance in particular is absolutely stunning, but to be honest, so is everybody else's. She's just the standout. Also, her character, who was already strong to begin with, is growing with greatness in this movie because she is the Mockingjay. She is the symbol that everybody other than the Capitol is looking up to. Whether she personally wants that or not, she feels that greater calling that you usually see from superheroes. We also have a ton of new characters introduced in this film, all of which have a much better place in the movie itself. They aren't extras. Each of them have a different skill set, which makes most of them likable in their own special ways, so you actually care if these people bite the dust. The people category got perfect remarks. So did the writing category, and I'll tell you why. In a rare but welcome change of pace, one of the best things about this movie is the dialogue, particularly because it's the things that are left unspoken that are the loudest messages in the movie. This is a rarity in movies, and it doesn't really look down on the audience or try to force its message on them. Instead, it allows them to feel the message. Every time that it cuts away to the districts watching the Hunger Games, it might as well be footage of a mirror showing the audience at home, undoubtedly feeling everything those characters are feeling. So yes, the dialogue and the depth of the story are all very good here, plus the pacing is very strong and incredibly tense. Next, the category for behind the scenes also got perfect remarks, because you can tell how much more effort the filmmakers took into making this sequel look better. And it does. Looking back at all 4 films, the production design, particularly in Catching Fire, was always pretty fantastic, especially how they designed the second Hunger Games arena. There's a lot of brilliance there and a lot of memorable places, making the arena itself practically a character in the movie as well. Also, there's some very strong use of camera movements that are always smooth and never confusing to watch. Same with the editing, and the musical score in this series has always been pretty great. I won't talk too much about the narrative arc, but I did score that perfectly as well. The introduction gets you reacquainted with the flawed world that these people live in. The inciting incident is the announcement of the Quarter Quell. The obstacles are the different things that the characters go through that almost feel kind of like video game levels in the arena, and the climax and the resolution, they both do a great job culminating everything in an unpredictable way, and it brings it back to a new sense of norm by the end of the film. As for how entertaining Catching Fire is it rewatchable? 100%. Do you have a good time while watching it? The best time. Do you have any impulse to buy or own it? Yes and yes, as I own the entire franchise. Any impulse to talk about it or recommend it? The 2 movies in this series that I feel like recommending the most are the first and second film. So yes, and how engaging is it? Does it make you feel like you'll miss something if you look away for a second. Yes, but only in the best possible ways, so entertainment got perfect points too. I'll quickly sum up the specialty category here. As part of a franchise, Catching Fire feels like it fits in perfectly. It's as if no time has passed at all and every character just bounces back into their respective roles. As a sequel, especially in an adaptation sequel, people were definitely wanting this film to exist, so I consider it to be a necessary movie. And as far as adding something new, which is what I look for in sequels, definitely the quarter quell. The third specialty category is just including how I initially score a movie, so with my heart and mind, and we all know my original score was 100%, so that subcategory got 10 out of 10. Finally, is it halfway decent? Did they make the movie that they intended to make? Well, if they didn't, I'd be shocked, because what came out of it was masterful, in my opinion, which means that the specialty category as a whole got perfect remarks too. That means, ladies and gentlemen, that my score for Catching Fire is 100%. 100 out of 100 possible stars, meaning that my original score still stands and Catching Fire remains one of the few films that I've ever seen to get this score. What do you think about The Hunger Games Catching Fire? Am I just too much of a fanboy, or do you actually agree with my assessment? Let me know below. As for YouTube, you know what to do. If you like this review, make sure that you hit subscribe because there's more like it coming out. Hit the thumbs up button because that always helps out my channel, and don't forget about the little bell icon because that'll help notify you when I come out with my next review. And until then, peace out!